So this is a 2016 Ford F-150. It's got the non-EcoBoost 3.5 V6, and truck's only got 18,000 miles on it. Belonged to an 80-year-old lady. It's set for 2 years during COVID times when everything was shut down. I think she went out of town, lived with a relative or something, came back, truck wouldn't turn over, and so her son sent it to Ford, and they said the engine was locked up, and they replaced the starter in it at first, and then they determined the engine was locked. So anyway, the truck's set, and someone referred them to me, and they were going to put an engine in it. So here it is. So it's got 13,000 miles on it. Real straight truck. It's got a few little bruises right here on the fender. I guess she kind of bumped something. It's kind of weird, an engine with 13,000 miles to be locked up with no warning. I mean, it's got fresh oil in it and everything, so it's kind of weird. Real clean truck. So I'm going to recheck it out before I do anything. So you stick the key in this thing and it just clicks. I mean, you get nothing. Battery's fully charged. You can see it says 13809. Kind of hard to see. So interior looks real clean. Let's see what we got. Nothing. It's just a click. So they want to put an engine in it, and they brought it to me to put an engine in it. But I'm really curious to know what happened to the original engine. What could have went wrong with it sitting? I think they said it sat 2 years. I mean, it's all factory. It's got a couple little bumps and bruises. Still got the factory Michelin's on it. Now, he said that his brother-in-law or brother took all the spark plugs out and put some transmission fluid in it. I don't know what they was doing with some Suzuki engine oil. I don't know if they put engine oil in the cylinders or transmission fluid. So some of the stuff has been taken off. It's got fresh oil in it. So what could have happened? I mean, was it making a noise before it got parked and she didn't notice it? Or did somebody else drive it and kind of dogged it out? And that's what happened to this motor. But what I'm going to do is put a breaker bar on the crankshaft, and I'm going to probably remove the new starter. I don't know if you can see it down there. Got a brand new starter on it. I'm wondering if that starter is bad and jammed, but they said they put a new one on it, so it looked like the dealership would have been able to tell if it was the engine of the starter. I see a lot of ash deposits right here. I'm wondering, was this truck in a flood or something? I mean, you know, some people, they tell you some of the stuff, some of them don't. But look, it's got a lot of dirt up here on the intake. That's just sitting up there. Could this truck been in a flood while she was gone? Her yard flooded out or something? I don't know. It's just strange, 13,000 miles. And then here's another tail sign. Look, it's got dirt up here. Did water get all the way up on top of this engine? There's no spark plugs in it, I don't think. Did water get up here? And look, got mud right here. I believe this truck was in a flood. Dirt dauber's nest. Got dirt all here. This truck probably was flooded, and that's what locked the engine up. Because I'm starting to see dirt daubers and mud. The tires are muddy. It's kind of dirty up under here. Sorry, it's kind of dark. I don't know if I can. It looks clean up under here. It's kind of dusty, but there's the crankshaft. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the starter out anyway. I gotta take it out anyway. I'm gonna try and see, maybe that's what it is, but all that dirt up there, it's like a telltale sign this truck was in a flood. I mean, look behind here, look at all that dirt. 13,000 miles. You would think it would be a little cleaner, but she does live in Mississippi, but that don't mean nothing. Could be some dirt roads. I do see some mud on the tailpipe. Fairly clean. So I'm believing it might have been in a flood, because how can an engine just lock up sitting 2 years without water getting in it? It's got a handicap sticker, so it's an older person. I mean, handicap tag. Let's look here. So if it was water, it would have got that high. Tires are dry rotted. It's got the Michelin's from the factory. Look at the brake pedal. Brake pedal don't look worn, and the gas pedal, and the carpet. So it's a 13,000 mile truck with a locked up engine. That is, you know, I've never heard of it. It can happen only if it was in a flood. And this is the 3.5. It's not the EcoBoost, it's just the regular V6. So I'm gonna pop that starter out of there right quick, and we'll see what it turn over. It's been sitting with something in the cylinder. Maybe it'll turn over, I don't know, but we'll see. Some up under here, it looks pretty clean up under here though. There's no dirt, or I mean just dust, but no mud. I don't know where all that came from. Up top we got some cobwebs. There's the brand new starter that they said Ford installed. It's got the Ford part number. So 2 1/2-inch bolts, some 10s, and pull this thing out. I don't see any holes on the side of the block. There's a lot of cobwebs where it might have threw a rod. That looks good. Let's look on this side. There's no holes on the side of the block here. So for some reason this thing locked up. It's got the Motorcraft oil filter. I guess it never had its first oil change, 13,000 miles. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the starter out anyway. I guess this is the ECM right here. Sorry, I got the light so bright. It's reflecting off all this aluminum. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop the starter out and do something else. Try and turn it over without it hooked up. There's the crankshaft, no oil on front of the motor. Very strange, very strange. No dirt daubers. It's definitely been sitting because it's got a lot of dirt daubers nest all over it. Oh, got the tripod set up. Got the breaker bars and the torque wrenches. And this is a brand new Ford starter. Like I say, it was just clicking when you hit the key. There's the part number. So let's go up under here. Alright, after wrestling with the camera to get a good angle, let's stick a breaker bar up there and hopefully. Now I got the star out like I showed, and I had to wiggle it out of there. It was kind of in there, kind of tight, even though the bolts were loose. Okay, here we go. Look at that. I'll be damned. This motor ain't locked up. Look at that. The starter was locking it up. That's why it would just click. It didn't even sound like a hard thump. It was just a click. Look at that. This motor is not locked at all. So either Ford sold them the wrong starter, or the old starter was locked up and they put the new starter in and gave them the wrong starter. But look, it's Ford Revolution. It's kind of hard for me to get it on it at an angle. I hear transmission fluid spraying out. This motor is not locked up, folks. So somebody misdiagnosed this motor. They said that it wouldn't turn over, and they took it to Ford. They put a new starter in, and still wouldn't turn over. So either two things happened. The first starter wasn't no good from sitting. They took it to Ford and they put, hell, they might have not even changed the starter. They might have just charged them and told them, starter looks new. Of course, the truck's only got 13,000 miles on it. So they might have not even changed the starter. They just said, oh, the motor's locked up, get it out of here. But look, it's turning over fine. So what we need to do is see if that's the correct starter, or get another starter. Let's take the starter and hook it on some battery cables and see will it turn over then. But yeah, this engine's good. We just need to put the starter in it, twirl it over, let all that fluid blow out of there, and this thing's gonna fire up. But I have to put the plenum and all that stuff back on, but that's no big deal. Alright, so here's the starter. Man, this thing looks, it's got oil on the front of it. It looks new, but I don't know. I can't tell unless he's got a receipt showing they put a starter in it at the dealership. Something just ain't adding up. But let's just see will it even turn over. We'll look at the part number, make sure this is the right starter. It might have been, might be the wrong starter. Might be for a V8 or something. Let's just see what it does. It works. So the starter works, but why was it locking the engine? Unless the transmission fluid and setting those plug holes and freed it up, we can always stick it back in there. But I'm gonna make sure it's the right one. Let's do it again. I don't want to turn over. There it goes. It's kicking in and out, so the Bendix is working and everything. So I'm gonna make sure this is the right starter for this truck, and if it is, we'll stick it back in there and see will it turn over. if it turns over, but it still won't make no sense because it wouldn't turn over before. I'm gonna make sure this is the right starter. Let's just make sure of that first. Then we'll try and figure out what it is. It looks like somebody's been tapping on it. Well, it's just some scratches. So I've been looking up this starter with the part number that's on there. It is part number, can you see it? It's try to hold it up there. It's JL1Z1102, I mean 002-B. That is the Ford part number. So I googled it and it came up with same part number, but this fits a 2018 through 21 Ford Expedition Navigator. So this is the wrong starter for this truck. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see cell phone stuff, but that's the whole list. And when I went back here, it said 2018 through 21 Ford starter JL1Z11002B, and it's everything with that part number is 2018 to 21. So when I looked up the one for the 2016, it had a total different part number. Now it's got a D, I don't know if you can see that, a DL3Z11002B, and there was another part number CK4Z11002A. So this is the wrong starter, and that's probably why it was locking the engine up. It's going in too far and hitting the flywheel or something, or the Bendix is kicking the starter gear out too far, or the way it sits in the transmission bell housing. This is definitely the wrong starter according to the part number. So we're gonna see about getting a new starter, the correct starter for it. Stick it in there. I bet you that sucker turn over like brand new. And we'll leave the plenum off, and we'll leave the spark plugs out so we can pump all that transmission fluid out of there and put it all back together. And that truck, that motor's not locked up, folks. Even the Ford dealership should have known that part number wasn't for no 2016. But he already had purchased an engine. This is a 3.5 with 80,000 miles on it. This was supposed to go in the truck. So I believe basically he bought an engine for no reason, and it's got everything on it. The junkyard even was kind enough not to cut the harness. They just unplugged everything where it was going to be plug and play to put it back together. Just drop it in, plug it up. So I'm gonna get a starter. For that bad boy, and it's gonna run. It's gonna run. So I guess before you start sending stuff to the dealership, if you can, do your own diagnosis. You know, look it over. I mean, if you gotta hire a mechanic to come over, hire them. Just make sure cover all ends, because we could have had pulled that engine out without even checking it, which I was gonna check it anyway, and could have pulled it out without checking it, and then come find out the engine turns over. A lot of labor, you know, time and stuff doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that engine. 13,000 miles, that thing gotta run like brand new. So I'm gonna see about getting a starter and get it in there, fire that baby up, send her back home. So I just got off the phone with my customer and he said he's going to get the right starter for it. So it's probably going to be tomorrow or so when he get it. I don't know if he's going to go back to Ford and get one, or he's going to just go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and get one and then dispute the problem with Ford later. But I did some more research, and yeah, this starter is definitely different, right on the nose cone. So anyway, that's going to be it for now with the F-150. I think we got some rain that might be coming in, so the truck is outside, so I might won't be able to get the starter in there tomorrow, depending on when he brings it. But if I do, I'll fire the camera back up, and we'll get that engine flushed out and get it all back together and see what it run. Now I did ask him again about it, and he said that his brother was the one who had it took to Ford, and they said the starter was bad. So he said he really don't know if the engine was locked up. Before that, his brother was handling it, so I don't know what the deal is with it. Something happened, the reason why the starter went out in the first place, or the reason the engine wouldn't turn over in the first place. But definitely this is the wrong starter. So anyway, I'm just gonna let it sit out there for now, and like I said, we'll go from there. So later. Alright, so he brought me the new starter. This is a dual ass starter from AutoZone. You can definitely see the difference in the nose cones. This one is way taller, so that means it will stick further in the transmission, and the starter gear on this one sits further down in the nose cone as this one sticks out. So that starter was just jamming up against the flywheel, and he said he don't know what the deal was. His brother was the one who took it to the dealership, the reason why he took it in the first place. But you can see that starter is different. This starter fits a 2016 only 3.5 EcoBoost or non-EcoBoost. Where's the part number at? It's on the box. It is a DL5109S. That's a remanufacturing number there in Malaysia. So anyway, we'll be getting that in soon. We get a chance, and spin it over, like I said, pump that transmission fluid out, and see what's actually wrong with the motor in that truck. So y'all just stay in there, stay tuned, and holler at y'all later.